teach you how to insert and how to select data from database table. So let's start. In our previous tutorial video, we have already created a table student. So let's describe student. We have 5 columns, so we have to insert data against each column. Insert into student ID, name, address, contact, age. We have now to insert the data against these columns, so we will write values for each column. Now we will put a value. The data is already existing, 15 rows 1 to 15 already exist, so we will start from the 16. So suppose we want to insert a data for student ID 16, name, we can take name, for example Usman. So we will write Usman in a quotes. For number we don't need quotes, and for varchar we need quotes. Then we will put here address, for example address is Islamabad. Contact, for example contact is 10012, and we put age 23. One row is now created. Suppose we want to insert another row, for example insert into student ID, name, address, contact, and age. And we want to insert data which is against the constraints. So suppose the first violation of constraint we are doing is insert 16 again, and the name is Ali, address is Lahore, and contact is suppose and age is 28. You can see insert into student the error unique constraint aa.sys. This means we are violating the primary violating the constraint rules. Primary key attribute value cannot be repeated, as this is the characteristic of primary key, that the value will be unique. So we cannot take 16. If we instead of 16, if we take the value 17, suppose, now row is created. This means we cannot repeat the student ID because the primary key is imposed on the student ID. Suppose we violate other rules, for example we put 18 Ali, and we are not putting any for example Peshawar, and contact contact is the same as previous student, and age is 29. This means we cannot keep the contact same. Already one student have the same contact 10013, the previous student, so we cannot take it again. Suppose we change it and make it 10017, which is the unique one row is created. Even in our previous video tutorial, it was explained how we can impose constraints on the table, and we imposed a constraint unique on the contact. Similarly, we imposed a constraint check on the edge, and the new value will be checked. If it is greater than 18, so it will be inserted, else it will be not inserted. Suppose we are inserting another row 19 and keep the name same, address everything same, and make it to 0, and age is 16. So it is violating against the rules, and age cannot be less than 18. Suppose we make it 21. Now it will be successfully inserted. So this was the creation of table, how we create table using SQL. Suppose we want to select all the data, all the inserted data, so we will use the command select. If we want to select all the data, so we will put here ***. So select *** means all the data from table student. This is the whole data inside the table student from 1 to 15. So by writing select * from student, you can see a particular data. If we want to retrieve data against selected column, so we will write select student ID name, for example, from student. So only the data against these two columns are displayed here. If we want to display a data based on particular condition, suppose select * from student, for condition we will write where, and this means now the selected data for the particular number of columns will be selected. For example, we write where name is equal to Ali. The whole data of student Ali will be displayed. If we write where name is equal to Murad, so there are two students with the name Murad, so student ID 12 and 3 records will be displayed. If we want to select particular columns for this data, for this name Murad, so we will write select student ID name and contact, for example, from student where name is equal to Murad. If we write select * from student where address is equal to, suppose, Lahore, so all the students belong to Lahore will be displayed. If we want to display data in a particular range, so we will use the operator between. Let's suppose we write select * from student where student ID between 1 and 10, so only the data in a range from 1 to 10 will be displayed. If we write, suppose, select * from student where student ID is greater than 10, so all the records we having the student ID greater than 10 will be displayed. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are the students whose ID is greater than 10. If we write less, so all the students below 10, roll number, student ID 10 will be displayed here. If we write, for example, select Frederick from student where address is not equal to Lahore, so all the students whose address is not Lahore will be displayed. So in this way you can select your data based on some particular condition. Now move forward. By using and or operation, you can select further your data, like for example from student where address is equal to Lahore or address is equal to Multan. No row selected because the names, the address are the characters of address are inter capital, so we'll write Lahore capital and Multan capital. Inside quotes we will use the same data as exist in the main table. So we can see using OR operator all the students whose address is either Lahore or Multan are now displayed. For example, if we write select Frederick from student where address is equal to Lahore or age is greater than 25. This means students whose address is either greater than 25 or age, address is equal to Lahore or age is greater than 25. So see the table, first two rows, in first two rows the age is not greater but the address is Lahore. Similarly, if you see the student ID 5 whose address is not Lahore, it is Islamabad but the age is greater than 25. Similarly, for for student 13 and 14, you can see address is not Lahore but the age is greater than 25. If we make and instead of or, so let's check what is the result now. In this query we have written either address is Lahore and age is greater than 25. This means only those students will be displayed whose address is Lahore and age should be greater than 25. So you can see the address Lahore for all the 4 students, and their ages are also greater than 25. So in this way you can select your data using and or.